Hello everybody and welcome back to the Mandala Traveler. Today I'd like to share an itinerary with you for spending the ultimate day on San Cristobal and the Galapagos Islands. Now if you're like me, you may have heard of the Galapagos Islands before and thought, wow, they sound so cool, but they're so exotic they must be a long ways away and really hard to reach. But it turns out that they're really not that far away, especially if you live in pretty much any part of North or South America. You can actually reach Ecuador, which owns the Galapagos Islands, in about 4 hours from Florida, and then it's just another 2-hour flight to reach the easternmost part of the islands. We actually visited the Galapagos Islands as part of our trip around Ecuador, and it was one of the best parts of the entire excursion. We had a lot of fun seeing all the different animals, interacting with the people there, and just doing a lot of really fun activities that allowed us to see the different scenery that the Galapagos Islands have. Now, if you've been following along with my channel, you may have seen a video I did a few weeks back about a 360 snorkeling tour that we did on San Cristobal. And if you have the time, I 100% recommend doing a tour like that. It is a full day tour, but that day was my favorite one out of all the 12 days we spent in Ecuador. We got to swim with sea lions and sea turtles and see the diverse landscape of San Cristobal from every angle, and it was just an amazing experience. So be sure to check out that video. But today I want to talk to you about spending a day mostly on land around San Cristobal and just tell you some of the ways you can really experience its diverse creatures and landscapes and activities. So if you're ready to find out how to spend the ultimate day on San Cristobal, let's dive in. All right, so for the ultimate day on San Cristobal, I do recommend that you wake up pretty early, as close to sunrise as you can, and head down to the Malecon San Cristobal. It's right by the Playa de los Lobos, which is where one of the biggest sea lion colonies in all of the Galapagos Islands lives. And they'll just be chilling on the beach. You'll see babies snuggled up with their mamas. You'll see a little older ones playing in the water, and it's just a really cool glimpse into their lives. And from there, head left and make your way down to a little cafe called Sunrise and Coffee. There is a dock area there that is known for blue-footed boobies, and if you're lucky, you'll be able to see them nesting or starting their hunts for the morning. And they are one of the coolest creatures in the Galapagos Islands, but if you want to catch them, you got to wake up early, so that's how I would recommend you start your day. From there, you're going to head back into town and grab some breakfast. Now, depending on your hotel, they may have a nice spread for you to enjoy in the mornings. Ours did. They had fruits and cheeses and meats and fresh juices and all sorts of good stuff. But if they don't offer anything or you just want to mix it up for the day, I highly recommend checking out the Super Sammy Panaderia or the Cachitanta Bakery. Both of them offer some delicious breads and pastries. At the Super Sammy, you can fill up a huge bag with fresh breads and sweetbreads. And at the Cachitanta, you can get more specialty items like croissants, fruit-filled pastries, coffee, and desserts. Once your stomach is full and you have some energy, it's time to head down to La Loberia. Now, La Loberia is just a few minutes drive from the main town on San Cristobal, and it is a beautifully diverse area where there's just so much to see and do. You'll definitely want to carve out a few hours just to explore and enjoy the water here. There's a long trail that leads from the parking lot to the main beach, and on the ocean side you'll see a lot of black lava rock. But if you look inland, you're very likely to see birds, lava lizards, and my favorite, the black marine iguanas. These creatures are so cool. They're really big and they're just really chill. You can walk right by them and it doesn't bother them a bit. But this is the only place in the world where they live. And so it's really cool to see these huge colonies of them just chilling by the side of the path as you make your way down to the beach. Now, once you actually reach the beach, there's a really good chance you're gonna see a lot of sea lions. When we went, they were everywhere. There was big ones, there was babies. They were taking naps just anywhere they felt like it, so you really need to watch your step. But they just did not care that we were there, and it was a really neat interaction with them. Of course, we needed to stay 6 feet away, but it was very common for them to walk closer than that as we were on the beach. So go to the beach, see the sea lions, but don't spend too much time out there because the really cool stuff about La Loberia is under the water. This sheltered bay area is fantastic for snorkeling, especially if you want to see sea turtles. Within a few minutes of going under the waves, we saw 4 or 5 sea turtles of all sizes, and they had no fear of us. They were taking naps or just swimming by, and it was an absolutely surreal experience. But on top of that, there were so many cool tropical fish swimming around. There were sea urchins and just so many interesting things to see in this one little area. Once you've done enough snorkeling for the day, head back into town and make sure you get a good lunch. You'll probably be pretty exhausted, so it's a good idea to fill up on some more good food. Now, most tourists head to the boardwalk because that is the nicer designated area, but I really recommend that you stay further back in town and eat like the locals do. In my experience, the boardwalk was a little overpriced and I really wasn't impressed with the food, but one of the best meals I had in Ecuador was at a little restaurant called Picanteria Sarita, just a few blocks back from the ocean front, and we got fantastic meals for $6 each. Each meal came with 2 plates that was about this big, and it had protein, rice, beans, salad, a potato. And so the 2 of us ate for about $12, and we actually brought some people from our tour back the next day because we loved it so much. All right, now that your stomach's full and maybe you took a power nap, it's time to head back out there and see another one of the Galapagos' wonders, which is their giant tortoises. Now, most zoos around the world seem to have at least one Galapagos tortoise these days, but it is a completely different thing to see them in the Galapagos Islands, just living their best life. Now, we went to the Galapagos de Cerro Colorado Giant Tortoise Reserve, which is actually where they were working to rebuild the giant tortoise population. It was actually kind of going extinct for a little bit there, and so they started this reserve to help more babies survive so that they could replenish the island. And so they're doing less and less these days because they're letting the natural cycle take its course, but they still have a great number of giant tortoises there that you can see walking around, foraging for food. They even have a nursery and a kindergarten where they do protect the babies that are born, and then when they turn 5, they release them into a larger enclosure so they can wander around and build their survival skills until they're ready to be released on a different part of the island. On top of that, this is just a really unique area. There's a loop that you can walk around, and there's some very interesting tree and plant life you can see there, and you'll also see a lot of birds. The Galapagos Islands are renowned for their finch population, and we saw quite a few finches there as well, some more lizards, and it was just a really nice little hike as we went in search of these giant tortoises. All right, and to finish up your afternoon, I recommend one more active adventure with a hike and beach time down to Puerto Chino. Puerto Chino is just down the road from the Giant Tortoise Reserve. You'll reach the parking lot in about 90 seconds by car. But once you get there, you'll need to hike from the parking lot down to the beach. Now, they have a really nice trail that takes you down to the water, and it's a really interesting walk. There's a lot of unique plants that you'll see there. We were really fascinated by all the different kinds of cacti and how huge some of them were. Like cacti as tall and big around as trees. There were lizards, there were birds, there were some cool flowers, hummingbirds. There was just so much to see, and so we really enjoyed the trek down to the water. Once you reach the water, there are so many different things you can do. You can just chill on the beach, you can do more snorkeling. There's a good chance you'll see more sea lions here, so if you want to swim with sea lions, this could be a good chance. There's also a big rocky outcropping on the other side of this little bay that kind of shelters this beach area from the bigger waves of the ocean, and there's a trail up there you can climb up. You'll get a beautiful view of the bay And there's a really good chance you'll see blue-footed boobies nesting there as well. We saw a number of them flying around and diving into the water to catch fish, which was really cool to watch. Just a really cool way to wrap up our afternoon with some beautiful views and wildlife spotting. At this point, it's probably around 5 p.m. in the evening, and I'm sure you're tired, but one of the coolest things about the Galapagos Islands is that it's perfectly safe to go out at night. So you do have quite a few hours of exploring ahead of you if you want. I do recommend heading back into town, rinsing off, and then just spending some time wandering around the different shops there. I would suggest that you start with the shops further inland because those are the ones that are more for locals. They're going to give you a more authentic experience, but they're also going to close up a little earlier than the tourist shops. So spend some time wandering around to see how the locals shop, maybe find some more authentic souvenirs, and then head down to the Malecon San Cristobal to see the sun setting. Sunset is a perfect time to walk along the boardwalk. You can head over to Playa de Oro and just watch the sun setting from the sand, or if you're really hungry, go ahead and grab a table at one of the boardwalk restaurants. I really recommend getting a second or third story table if you can, because you will have absolutely gorgeous views of that sun going down over the South Pacific Ocean. And just to wrap up your evening, spend some more time just wandering around town. Again, it's perfectly safe to be out at night. Our guides told us more than once you could literally flash your money around here and no one's gonna do anything because there is no crime in the Galapagos. So feel free to just wander, go visit those touristy stores. I recommend stopping by a local food market to see some of the interesting things that they eat that you've probably never seen before. We found blue corn chicha. We found some really interesting fruit jerkies. We found Galapagos themed animal crackers. Like, there's just so many cool things that you'll find there, but you won't find anywhere else in the world. So I recommend just wrapping up your evening with a relaxing stroll to see all the sights and sounds before you call it a day and head to bed. And that, my friends, is how I would spend the ultimate day on San Cristobal Island. You have wildlife spotting, you'll see the giant tortoises, there's swimming and snorkeling, chilling on the beach, hiking, great food, and some shopping. It is, in my opinion, the perfect way to spend a day and really experience everything that the island has to offer, at least get a little taste of it. If you enjoyed this post, please do me a favor, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to follow my page if you want to see more videos from me in the future. If you are thinking about visiting San Cristobal, don't forget to watch that 360 snorkeling video before you go as well. And if you really liked it, be sure to drop a comment below and share it with your friends. Thank you so much for being here today, and I wish you many happy travels.